On their way to the capital, Meve and company happened one fine day upon a lone rider. Had I been at her side, I would immediately have recognized his passionate gaze and altogether chivalrous mien.
Identify yourself, sir, and your intent.
Eyck of Denesle I am dubbed, and my design I never conceal. The good book says the world is a garden which the gods once conferred upon man, and we men have this garden neglected. In consequence, all manner of filth has made its lair here. Drowners, ghouls, and other kobolds. I have sworn ne'er to rest until the day when, with the gods' help, I have rid the world of these beasts and pests. I wander all lands, seeking out evil and facing it in mortal combat.
Who do we spy? A knight-errant?
Just as likely a madman. How goes your hunt? Caught the trail of any monster?
Monster? Too fair a term by far. An exceptionally vile worm has made its lair in nearby caverns. It is said to be the very distillation of filth. A slithering horror. A mélange of the macabre. Its head, that of a wild cat of Ophir. Its maw full of spiked teeth. The wings of a bat it is said to have. The tail of a scorpion, and from it, a thick venom drips. Learned men call this variety a manticore, or mardiacore.
Perhaps it will be most prudent, then, to send for a witcher.
A witcher? Soulless automatons they are, all, feeding on common folks' fears. What they demand gold to do, I perform without demand of any coin.
Sir Eyck, far be it from me to discourage you. Your endeavor is noble, no doubt, but from what I have heard, manticores are exceedingly dangerous beasts.
To defeat this filth alone could be a difficult task, I'll not deny. Yet try it I must, for it is what I have sworn before the gods.
We shall help you find and fight the manticore, provided you then pledge to help us fight an even fiercer and filthier beast.
Of course, my lady. Yet what manner of horror is it? A viper? A griffin? A drake of some rare form?
Were it only. 'Tis a beast of 1,000 heads, covered in black armor, its fire consuming whole villages.
Noble lady, I know bestiaries is only in parts, yet I've seen some of the world, and never have I heard of such a terror.
You need but look about you, and spot Nilfgaard's legions.
Devastating. But you must forgive me, your grace. This struggle between realms is not one to which I can lay a hand.
A manticore. How great is its appetite? How many men does it fell? In a moon, let us say.
It changes. At a time when the horror broods, it may be as many as 20.
I see. As now you must. Nilfgaard in my capital could mean as many as 20,000 felled. You live to fight evil, injustice, do you not? You can fight none greater than by doing so at my side.
The manticore, your grace, must fall first. As to what happens later, I shall need to consult the good book and petition the gods.
Agreed, so be it. This monster, where lies its lair? Where does it prowl?
To the north, my queen. A few leagues on.
In Thronebreaker, towards the end of the first map, you will find a knight by the name of Eyck of Denesle, who is chasing a manticore which has been destroying several nearby villages. He is on a quest to rid the world of as many monsters as possible, driven to it by religious reasons, because the world is a garden that's been infested by monster filth due to the fact that humanity has not taken care of the world. So he's on a quest to rid the world of as much filth as possible. He's a monster hunter, though he's not no witcher, he's not mutated, and he doesn't ask for coin for any of the slings that he engages in. Which means he's, in a sense, a chivalrous questing knight, though he's not without his own flaws. He doesn't like witchers, he considers all monsters without exception, at least based on what I know so far, but he considers all monsters without exception as filth. This includes dragons, which obviously are far more intelligent than, shall we say, a drowner or a necker or even a manticore. So anyway, he's on a quest to kill a manticore. If you help him with this, he will join your party, justifying it on the reason that Meve has had the realm attacked unjustly, that Nilfgaard is the aggressor. And he will join you, though he will swear no oaths to Meve because he serves the gods.
The Lyrians felled the manticore. Later it was said the beast's dying wail, multiplied and strengthened as it passed through the caverns, could be heard as far as Spala.
Your Grace, many monarchs have I met in my time, yet none proved as virile in battle as did your Majesty.
Virile? I dislike the term. Seems not to suit a woman. I prefer valiant. Yet grateful I am for the compliment. Now pray reveal, have you made your decision? Will you swear to serve me? Are you prepared to take an oath?
I am not, Your Grace. I can serve only the gods. Yet, I do believe them to be on your side as one unjustly and treacherously attacked. Thus I see nothing wrong in assisting you.
Then I am content and welcome you in my ranks, Sir Eyck of Denesle.
The knight-errant bowed low from the waist. So low, in fact, the gambeson neath his mail creaked. Meve could only hope he would battle Nilfgaardians as boldly as he faced beasts.
Now, in terms of gameplay, Eyck is good in battle because he gets boosted anytime one of your cards takes damage, provided you use the Manticore trophy or you are fighting monsters, with the bonus increased if you are using both the Manticore trophy and you are fighting monsters. So he's strongest when you're fighting monsters with the trophy, or if you're fighting humans, you want to use the trophy at the very least. He can do damage to a monster card if you are fighting the freaks. He's capable of doing damage, but even when you're fighting humans or Scoia'tael, he's still very useful because of the boost he gets. Of course, this is dependent on a trophy, but you can get him boosted very strongly because he gets boosted every time one of your cards takes damage. So the more damage you take, the stronger he gets if he's in your hand, and you might end up losing a round and playing him and just winning the next round, or you might win a round, but because you've taken a lot of damage, he's still boosted. You can use him next round, or you can even use him that round, depending on how the battle is. If it's one of those short battles, he can be used then, and he can give you a significant point advantage. So he's a very useful card in battles, in particular against monsters, which you will be fighting quite a few of, but he's still also very useful in the exploration map. He will help you clear out a lot of monster dens, which you should, because there's a lot of treasure, either maps, artifacts, gold, wood. Very useful, which you would have to sacrifice soldiers in order to get them otherwise. You can do so without Eyck. You can get all these treasures without Eyck. He just gives it for free, basically, because he's a really good monster slayer. He can handle these freaks, and so you don't have to sacrifice your men in order to get access to a lot of this treasure.
I see you found the mess tent. How's the ale? Not too warm, I hope.
'Tis not for me to say, Your Majesty. My tankard holds but milk of the goat.
Milk? A witless prank. I shall tell the quartermaster at once what I think of such...
Unnecessary, Your Grace. I called for the beverage.
Is that so? Well then.
The good book states clearly, the shadow of spirits obscureth light most true, and leadeth thee from the path of virtue.
Right. I suppose there's something to it.
My soul sings to hear your affirmation, Your Grace. If ever you wish to discuss the good book and the wisdoms contained therein, hesitate not to find me.
Certainly, I shall remember that. Your crusade against monsters. Have you been at it long?
Come next Bellatane, it will be 20 years, Your Grace. Though, there was one extended interruption.
For what reason? Had you grown weary of the knight-errant's life?
Not in the least. Never shall I cease in my quest to cleanse the world of filth and abominations. But at times evil puts up rather a good fight. I ventured forth to slay a dragon once, a gold one, as it were, calling itself Villa Tretormeft. or the like. Its very name, as is evident, a vile toil for the tongue and wafting wickedness. A great many mercenaries embarked on the hunt, lured by the promise of coin in heaps. The Crinford Reavers, Yarpen Zigrin, and a band of dwarves. Even, curse the word, a witcher. One Yennefer, a most lecherous sorceress, at his side.
That name I've heard.
But at the deciding moment, when the beast challenged all, I alone emerged to face it. Alas, though shame burns me to admit it, I returned from the battle upon my shield. Figuratively. Literally, I returned in pieces. For 2 years, I lay in the Temple of Melitele in Alanda. Mother Neneke, God's protector, nursing me back to full health. And only when I could once more grip my sword did I return to the path I'd chosen.
And the dragon? What was its fate?
Some claim it flew off to Zerrikania, though it very well might yet lurk here, awaiting the opportune moment to terrorize the folk of the north again.
Farewell, Eyck.
Now, personality-wise, like with other companions, there are things that he likes and he dislikes depending on your decisions. Thronebreaker, I would say, is a game that's very much driven by decisions. This is what makes it an excellent game. The story, the difficult moral dilemmas that you're presented with, and there are plenty of them. On top of that, your companions may or may not like certain decisions. You might get the superior version of their cards. I don't know if this is the case with Eyck, but you may or may not get the superior version of their cards depending on the decisions that you've made as a player throughout the game, or you might lose them. With Eyck, he hates all monsters, so if you show mercy to any monster, he will dislike that. On top of that, he is in effect a religious zealot who cares deeply about the gods, or about the good book of the gods. So if you act in a way like a manipulative, scheming bastard, he will also dislike that. Or if you treat, temples of the gods improperly, he will also dislike that and might leave your party or might get angry at you depending on the decisions you make. Of course, if you act in a chivalrous way, if you are going to hunt down monsters, he does approve of this in general. What's really significant about Eyck is the lore behind him. He is, as he reveals, in Angren, if you kept him in your party up until that point, he reveals that he is Siegfried of Denesle's father.
My soul rejoices, Your Grace, to see you at full health and in high spirits.
And why would I not be?
I heard you spoke with Prince Willem in Mahakam. An exchange, I've no doubt, fraught with difficulties, peppered with many a hurtful word.
Oh, none worse than those he spoke in Lyria when he ordered me placed in chains. What I felt then? Why, I dare say you'd have trouble imagining it.
I've no need to imagine, Your Majesty. This feeling I know. I don't oft speak of him, but I too have a son. Or more to the point, had a son. Siegfried, his name.
Passed on, has he?
No, Your Majesty. Worse. He's renounced me. When an illness affected his mother, my wife, Sophia, he implored me to earn coin for her betterment. But I had vowed long ago never to take payment from those I protect. I could not. It would be a stain on my honor. Apologies, Your Majesty. Of what concern to you can my petty troubles be?
They are, Eyck. Believe me. And I thank you for confiding in me.
Now, based on what Siegfried tells you in The Witcher 1 when you meet him in the sewers trying to hunt down the cockatrice, his father died trying to kill a manticore, very likely the same manticore that you may or may not kill in Lyria if you decide to help Eyck. If you don't decide him, it's heavily implied that he will die even within Thronebreaker, and this is something that Siegfried tells you in The Witcher 1. So canon-wise, Eyck died trying to kill the manticore. But there's a certain significance here with Eyck and Siegfried. See, Siegfried, like his father, is driven on a quest to hunt down monsters and help others. He's a member of the Order of the Flaming Rose, whose stated goal is to deal with monsters on top of other things. But unlike his father, who is driven very much by religious zeal, Siegfried is actually genuinely driven by a desire to help others, though of course his own religious views play a role in all of this. A fairly significant role in all of this. Siegfried is a nice contrast to many other characters within the Witcher universe because he is genuinely a good person. This is not something you can apply to the Order of the Flaming Rose as a whole, and he does fall down a dark path if you do not side with the Order, but for the most part he is a genuinely good guy. And he stands in stark contrast with virtually everyone else in the game, exception of Shani, for instance, because everyone else is more or less a bastard on one level or another, or a complete and utter bastard. Geralt is not a good person, let's be very clear on this. He might do good things, but he is not a good person. Nor is Dandelion, nor is Zoltan. They all have their own flaws, they all have their own major issues. Zoltan's stance on Scoia'tael as a particular example. Dandelion, well, where to begin when talking about him, I don't know. I don't think I will even touch on that. But still, everyone has their own flaws, everyone has their own issues, and yes, this includes characters like Triss, because one thing Triss mentions in The Witcher 3 is the fact that she used Geralt when he had amnesia, and yes, she absolutely did use Geralt when he had amnesia, so Triss, who is one of the better characters, is still someone who is willing to manipulate Geralt for her own selfish aims. Siegfried is too blind to some of the issues of the Order if you don't side with him. If you do side with him, if you do help him out, well, he will help you out in return. He will remember what Geralt has done for him.
A surprise in the sewers. A Knight of the Flaming Rose, soaked in stench from head to foot. I usually work alone, but this was an opportunity to see a knight in action. I must say he did rather well for a human. That was rare gratitude he showed.
Beyond that particular point, what's crucial with Siegfried is he will come to realize the broken nature of the Order of the Flaming Rose and set out to reform it. He can become the Grandmaster of the Order of the Flaming Rose if you side with the Order, and he will remember Geralt's friendship in The Witcher 2, depending on certain decisions that you make. He will stand up for you in the Order camp, say if you went on Yorva's path or even on Roach's path. He'll remember what you did for him in the past and what you also did for the Order of the Flaming Rose. Eyck is... So Eyck and Siegfried, though, are similar in the sense that they are driven by a desire to deal with creatures that are a threat to humanity, to normal people, to the peasantry, so to speak. And both do care about them in their own way, though Eyck is driven more by a religious zeal than Siegfried is. So it was a nice touch, as far as I'm concerned, for CD Projekt to have Eyck of Denesle in this game. It's appropriate, it's consistent to the lore, by the way, to have it, though of course it doesn't really tell it, like, we don't really know what Eyck says. I think in the Witcher books he only shows up in one of the short stories involving a hunt of a dragon, the one that he references when you meet him initially, and then he disappears more or less until CD Projekt brought him back for the sake of creating Siegfried within the Witcher game universe. Still, it's a nice touch. It's nice to have CD Projekt actually remember that they created some very compelling characters in the past and give a nod, in a sense, to them, because that's what really Eyck is there for. He's a way for fans of the Witcher games, Witcher 1 and 2, specifically for people that played those games, to be reminded of Siegfried of Denesle. Actually, one of the biggest disappointments I've had with the Witcher series, with Witcher 3, one of the reasons I dislike it overall, is because of how they took some brilliant characters that they had made in the past, be it Siegfried, Saskia, Yorvith, and they just more or less dumped them, pretended they didn't exist. I mean, let's ignore the fact that they dumped Ada as well. There's many characters that CD Projekt has done this for. There are many problems I might talk about with regards to The Witcher 3. So it's nice to have this nod in Thronebreaker. And Thronebreaker does have an excellent story and difficult moral decisions. Anyway, that's all I had to say on the subject. Kwasin here on Serious Gaming signing out, and stay tuned for more. And if you do like my content, please do consider supporting me via PayPal, Patreon, so I can continue making these kind of videos.